Right now, it is with my absolute pleasure to actually introduce our next guest, who will introduce our keynote speaker. She's a model, a singer, and just like our keynote speaker for today, is also a beauty pageant title holder in 2018. After winning this title, she continued with her philanthropic works with several charitable organizations. And most recently, she released her own version of Raise Your Flag, a song inspired by her own statements during her pageant journey. She is no other than Miss Universe 2018, Catriona Gray.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catriona Gray, your Miss Universe 2018. In everything that I do, I've always had this sense of responsibility to champion the causes closest to my heart and to encourage people to do the same. In a time where there is just so much division and contrasting points of view, having our voices heard and participating in the conversation is one of the best things we can do to progress forward. I'm so proud to have recently released Raise Your Flag, an anthem with an adjoining campaign that is all about raising one's voice and standing for something. And so I want to take this time to thank everyone who is present here for this online event for Philippines Pride. Thank you for raising your voice. Your participation in creating awareness and educating our countrymen and furthering the fight for equality for our LGBTQ+ community is the type of action we need to press forward in our fight for equal rights, safety, and respect for all Filipinos. And with that, it is my honor to be able to introduce our keynote speaker for this afternoon. She's a fellow queen, having won the first ever Miss Trans Global last 2020, an active voice of the trans Filipino community. She has been championing education on SOGI and trans identity, forwarding LGBTQIA+ rights. A writer by profession, she served as a writer for ABS-CBN and Rappler, to name a few, and she's also a mentor to aspiring journalists on feature writing. She also takes pride as an actress representing transgender women on TV and digital media. She continues her passion for storytelling as a content creator, producing her own digital talk show, Threesome Mahalagang Malaman Mo, and All Things Tea. Please welcome Mela Habijan.
Thank community. So to the wonderful women, gentlemen, and non-binary people of this inclusive community called Facebook Philippines, mabuhay! Magandang araw kung nasaan man kayo sa mundo, at happy Pride. I am Mela Habijan, your Miss Trans Global 2020. Filipino sa isip, sa salita, at sa gawa. A proud transgender woman. And my pronouns are she and her. Will you hate me if I begin my keynote with my most painful heartaches? Well, I hope you won't mind, because these stories are where my story of pride began. My first heartbreak happened when I was 4. The age when we were told that we can dream whatever we want to be. We can be whoever we want, and we can share the world with any other person. I was told by my mom, you know what? Your dreams will be possible as long as you believe in them. That's when I realized my ultimate dream, to be Miss Universe, just like Catriona. But I was told I couldn't, for I was born with a penis. They told me I have to live by it and be a boy. 13 years after, in 2004, I dreamt another dream, to perform on television. Knowing that I'm quite good at singing, I auditioned for a singing competition. I almost made the cut, And the audition master actually told me, "You're good." But he had one problem. I was confusing. My identity confused him. I sounded like a man, but I acted like a woman. That resonated in me up to this day. Hence, I stopped singing. My second heartbreak. Then it led me to my third one in 2017. I do apologize if my presentation right now isn't working, but I hope you won't mind me just continuing with my story. In 2017, as I was about to graduate, I hoped to apply to this reputable multinational FMCG company, for I was so in love with their chocolate drink. So I went to their placement talk and confidently asked, "Will you be accepting gay applicants?" That time, I still identified as a gay man, for I had no idea what a transgender person was. Then the HR directress confidently said, "Yes, we do. As long as the applicant looks professional. He should not be wearing a woman's clothing." That time, though I was still identifying as a gay man, I was flamboyant. I was feminine. So it dawned on me. It didn't matter if I am from one of the most prestigious universities in the country. It didn't matter if I was a cum laude candidate. It didn't matter if I had leadership potentials in my end, in my background. What mattered to them was the way I look. That is the measure of professionalism. So I stopped dreaming of being in the corporate world and stopped buying their chocolate drink. When I won Miss Trans Global last year, I was so joyful. I was elated because I was able to make my country proud. However, when I made it to the headlines, I saw comments that somehow broke my spirit. It didn't matter if I won, but some Filipinos took it as an opportunity to attack me, ridicule me, and make fun of me. Sadly, I was seen less than my achievement because I'm trans. Transgender. Transgender is a word that somehow has shocked the world, as it has happened to destroy the binary definition of gender. The world asks, how am I a woman? Why am I a woman? Well, 4 years after having the courage to embrace my womanhood, the woman in me, I can now stand with pride and say that my womanhood is beyond my genital, that my femininity is beyond my body. Womanhood is a way of life. Womanhood is the spirit and the voice within. Womanhood is not physical, but rather it is an empowering identity grounded on sensitivity, leadership, wisdom, and love. I am a woman, and I am woman enough. However, it's very challenging to explain this to the patriarchal world that has understood the concept of gender in the ideals of genitals. It continues to question me. It contests my ideals and would regard me crazy. Worse, in the predominantly Catholic Philippines, women like me are seen as sinful, an abomination, a laughing matter. Name the insult, we have received it. It's so hard to be different in a world that has seen our difference as an obstruction of the so-called norm. Every day we are mocked. Every day we are denied of opportunities. Every day we experience injustices. In fact, there are trans people who have been forced to choose between finishing school and being themselves. The unjust uniform policy hindered them from earning a college degree, as if the way we express ourselves and live our lives, our being trans, affect our capacity to learn. There have also been instances that we trans people, trans women in particular, are barred to come to our graduation ceremonies. If we come to our ceremony in dresses, we will not be able to claim our hard-earned diplomas. We've also seen how trans people are treated in public spaces. Last year, an incident of an old woman who threatened to throw a stone at a trans woman became viral. Months ago, a South Korean trans sister ended her life after being forcibly discharged from the military because she underwent her gender-affirming surgery. All her life, she wanted to be a soldier of Korea, a military who will defend her motherland. But their Ministry of Defense said, after taking the surgery, after going through it, she has become physically and mentally handicapped. And the resolution of the case of Jennifer Laude is a testament as to how trans lives are not just undervalued, but really regarded with no value at all. It is heartbreaking that as trans, as LGBTQIA plus people, the world says, you are asking for too much. You're stepping on our rights. You chose that route, suffer the consequences. Sadly, we can never be true to ourselves. Worse, even our dreams can never come true. Hence, with every single denial, disrespect, and discrimination that we get from the world, this has pushed so many people in my community, including myself, to hide in our closets and live in fear. I, for once, feared for my future. I feared for my dreams. I feared that my parents would disown me. For the longest time, I was Ariel, wishing from a distance that someday, maybe, I could be part of your world. I envied you, who could freely explore the world above me. I constantly asked, when is it my turn? But then, I met Mulan, my favorite Disney princess. She taught me the value of owning my own reflection, because there must not be a secret me. So, I won't pretend that I'm someone else for all time. When will my reflection show who I am inside? Reflection became the song of my life, from which I had learned that yes, Mela, the world will reject you. The world will say no to you several times over. But you have the power to reverse and control the narrative. How? By owning yourself, by saying yes to you, by celebrating being you. And this has given me the power to redirect my life and push myself to be more. Now, I'm nearly turning 34, and I'm seeing myself wearing a lot of hats. Some of which I dreamt of, while some I surprisingly became. I'm a scriptwriter, an actress for TV and digital series, a mentor for writing, a motivational speaker, a talk show host, a content creator, a peanut butter maker, an LGBTQIA advocate, an endorser for brands, and recently, I became your Pantene girl, and I am your Miss Trans Global 2020. As I view the world now, I am reminded by another princess named Elsa not to hold back and let it go. Let go of the fears and insecurities that once controlled me. And now, I'm free. And this is why I actively speak. This is why I'm visible. This is why I represent. I represent to regain the dignity that we trans people have lost. Because during the pre-colonial Philippines, cis and trans women and LGBTQIA people were at par and equal with men. We were celebrated, and in fact, we could be our community's leaders. Some of us could be babaylans, faith healers. I am visible to inspire people like me to confidently own our identities, because clearly there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with being trans. There's nothing wrong with being LGBTQIA. Trans women are women. LGBTQIA people are people. I actively speak to tell this patriarchal world how oppressive and unfair it has been for us. I wish the world would value truth, that when it pushes me, it pushes us to be real. Magpakatotoo ka. Be true to yourself. It won't invalidate, but rather celebrate my unique womanhood. I wish the world would be true to its promise that we can be who we want to be. Mangarap kayo, yung matayog, yung mataas, yung malaki. That it won't be hard for us to pursue our passion. Get hired, be treated fairly and with respect at the workplace and in public spaces. That we can be happy, that we can live freely. I wish the world would have homes as the safest spaces, with parents celebrating and are proud of their children who are LGBTQIA+, raising them with the ideals of unconditional love and kindness. Because that's what happened to me. When I came out as trans, my Papa Dindo and his only words with me were, if you think you'll be happy and a better person as a woman, go forth, live your life. And I can say, I am living because my parents loved me. So now I stand by our worth, that we LGBTQIA+ people are superheroes meant to transform traditions, transcend boundaries, and translate wisdom. There is worth to our being different. I may not have been Miss Universe, but I am now your Miss Trans Global 2020. Trying my best to make the Philippines and my LGBTQ plus community proud. I may have failed to get into that singing competition, but I'm now seeing myself on TV and on digital media, acting, taking on transgender roles, and trying my best to represent my women. Moreover, I'm now using my voice on a different scale now. Speaking, telling stories, and hopefully inspiring people to be inclusive and to be appreciative of diversity. And I may not be working in the corporate workforce, but I can say that I am good friends with a true champion of inclusion and diversity called Facebook Philippines, Facebook community. The world has broken my heart so many times, but it will never stop me from continuously loving myself. So to you who are listening right now, you who have been belittled, outcasted, underestimated for being a woman, for being LGBTQIA+, for being dark-skinned, for being skinny, for being fat, for being old, for having a disability, for your beliefs, for being a nerd, for not being cool, for not being good enough, and for not subscribing to the so-called norms. Let me remind you, you are powerful. You are power. Don't mind them. Rather, celebrate being you. Never be afraid to speak up. Never be afraid to be visible. Never be afraid to be different. Never be afraid to represent, and never be afraid to break free. And when this patriarchal world says, you can never be president, you can never be great, you can never be, stand with pride, with honor and dignity. Smile to the world. Flip your salonistic hair and say, watch me. Facebook Philippines, maraming salamat sa espasyo para makita at mapakinggan. Happy Pride at mahigpit na yakap sa ating lahat. Ako po si Mela Habijan. At tandaan sa buhay, gaano man ito kahirap, may laban tayong lahat.
Kailangan pala pumalakpak. Oh my God.
Amazing.
Mela, wow. I have to breathe. Thank you so much, Mela. Oh my God, for that very heartfelt and emotional talk.
Hero.
There's no other word. Ramdam na ramdam ko yung bawat salita. Ramdam na ramdam ko yung storya mo. And thank you for being vulnerable with us and sharing your story. I want to say that you deserve all of the love that you are getting right now, Mela, and all of the successes. Hindi man yun yung pinicture mo for yourself, as you mentioned, but it is still a success.
It is.
Nevertheless.
It is. You know what, Jello? We've known each other since college. I am on a different route right now. It was a different field to how I pictured it to be. But this route is the best route I am in.
And oh my God. And we see it. And we see it. The successes that you've gotten, the platform that you have, and the voice that you have, Mela, resonates not just within this group here, but to the Philippines and to the world. So congratulations on what you've achieved so far, and I am sure this is only the beginning for Mela Habijan.
Thank you so much, Jello. I appreciate every word that you have bestowed upon me. Thank you because you have given me a platform in which not only I could represent myself, but I could represent the community in general. Because I know that this power that I have won't be with me forever. I need to pass the microphone to other women who could represent us, to other LGBTQIA+ who could represent us. But now that I am given this opportunity, I am taking advantage of it. And I will never, ever be ashamed that I am a part of our community. I will be building ourselves up.
I love that, Mela. And it's, if I recall lang then also what John mentioned earlier, one of the core principles of Facebook is actually to be bold. And I think that really is where we have that alignment and meeting of minds, right? And why it works, right? This collaboration, at least for Pride and definitely for the future as well. We definitely have can do more things with our platforms together. Mela, we do have maybe one or two questions from the team, which we hope to get your perspective on for this afternoon. The first one is, you opened your talk, Mela, with saying what your pronouns are. Actually, we all did then, kanina. But for our viewers in the audience who may see this as unnecessary, why do you think it's important to actually declare your pronouns to the people?
Declaration of one's pronouns is ownership of one's identity. It is a measure of your confidence. It is a measure of your humanity. It is a measure of your personhood. It is a measure of your value as a person. Hence, when you introduce yourself, you are telling that person, this is me. Therefore, when the person honors who you are, he will accept that. He will see you as you are. And that's the beauty, I guess, of just merely opening yourself out to the idea of diversity. Because for so long, we have only seen he, she, and they as just merely words to describe. But actually, they're not just descriptors. They are recognizers. They are acknowledgements of one's identity. Using the right pronouns, asking for a person's pronoun is a sign of respect. More so, it is a language of love. Saying to that person, I want to hear your pronouns. I want to listen and use your pronouns because I accept you for who you are.
Beautifully said, Mela. Just as a follow-up on that one, what if, for example, I'm not sure what someone's pronouns are? Is it okay if I ask you, for example, or if I ask someone directly kung ano yung pronouns nila? Is that something that's fine?
For me, always and forever, it is best to ask. It is best to ask, if, most especially if your intention is to be educated and to be respectful. Asking questions for me is a deliberate action of education, of trying to be educated and further your knowledge about the world. So feel free and be open to asking, because definitely if you do it nicely, the person whom you are talking to will answer you with so much respect and pride as well. So do it. Do it. Don't be afraid to ask. Lagi kong sinasabi, isa sa mga bagay na natutunan ko as a student, ang pinakatangang tanong ay yung tanong na hindi mo itinanong kasi hindi mo ito nabigyan ng sagot. So by asking, an answer will be given to you.
Ganda. Thank you for that, Mela. I'll change gears a bit, Mela, and I'll go into your speech. In the tail end of your speech, you actually mentioned that the world has broken your heart so many times. You talked about your heartaches from when you were still young up until you were already a professional. But you did say that it will never stop you from continuously loving yourself. I personally love this so much because I think there's something very empowering again about this declaration that you did, na kahit anong mangyari, kahit anong salot na mangyari sa mundo at sa lipunan, I can and should still love and celebrate myself. Can you elaborate more your thoughts around this statement?
Because we live in this world out of love. We were made out of love. Our parents, united, had that moment of sharing one another because they saw each other as a bearer of love. I said in my piece that the world may have wounded me so many times, but I still keep going because I learned the language of love at the comforts of my own home. My parents allowed me to see myself in its most beautiful form, and I will always pay tribute to my papa, my popsi Dindo, and mama Irene because they allowed me to be me. And that's the important virtue and value that I will forever live by. To see the beauty in me, to see that I can be kind-hearted, and to see that I can be my best. That's why my spirit isn't broken. Thanks to my parents. They taught me how to.
It's very important, Mela, that we have that support, no, that support system, that love that we have from our family, from our community, and from our own circle of peers as well. I love that. Last question from me, Mela, before we let you go, and I'm sure this is the start of a fruitful relationship. What is next for a Miss Mela Habijan? What's next for you?
My reign is about to end this September, but I am more inspired to keep on working on what I have started. Because I'm given a fantastic year to build on the foundations of my advocacy and my activism as a trans woman. Rest assured that even if my reign ends, the voice that you're hearing right now will never get tired of speaking. The eyes that you're seeing right now will never get tired of looking at the world and probably voicing out opinions so that there is a platform for us to engage in worthwhile conversations. The hair that you are seeing right now will take pride in its form because this is a representation of who I am, a trans woman. I will still be a trans woman who's empowered to live my life each and every day, continuing what she has done so far. And that is to represent my LGBTQIA plus community, whatever form it may it be entertainment, politics, pageantry, or any field. I will still be the Mela Habijan, a fighter, a spirited woman who will always be proud of her roots and her dignity.
Thank you so much, Mela. Again, tagos talaga. Every word that you say, I cannot help but actually feel it deep within. And again, I would like to thank you so much for being generous with your time, generous with your story, and generous with you as a person in sharing your story with us for this afternoon.